Today we're going to tear down the 3-liter twin-turbo V6 out of a 2018 Porsche Macan S. This is a core engine, which means that someone blew this up in some way or form. That's what we're going to find out today. And they bought a used engine. The place they bought a used engine from charged them a core charge. They got that money back when they returned their old one. And I was there when their old one was returned, which is why I have this on the stand. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you how many miles are on this engine. I can tell you it's out of an 18 Macan S based on the dates on the engine and the interchange from the engine that was sold. But I have no VIN, I have no story. It tells a pretty good story if you look at it though. So this looks like just a regular used engine. I mean, yes, it's out of a Porsche, I get it. But there's a few things that are a little alarming at first glance, like this, and this, and this, and this, and that, and all of that, and some of that, and that down there. And when we go down to the other side of the engine, we can tell it's also been leaking the coolant from the back. So this had a coolant leak. Now I don't know exactly where it's come from, but it seems to have sprayed around from the belt system, which tells me it could be my least favorite used component on an engine, the water pump. Now, I'm not saying that's what's wrong. I'm not trying to give anything away because I don't know what the inside of this engine looks like. That's what we're going to find out today. We're going to see how bad it is and if this is related to its failure, which could be completely an unrelated situation. This engine is known as the CTMA. This is a 3-liter all aluminum direct injected dual overhead cam twin turbocharged V6 that makes 340 horsepower and about the same amount of torque. Now when I found this engine, I had no story with it, no shop to call to get a VIN. There's no VIN anywhere that I could find on the engine. And normally I can find the last 8, call the dealer, get the rest of the VIN, run a Carfax. That's my normal method of operation. But alas, I have no VIN, I have no details, and I'm sorry. Now, I didn't even know what this was out of exactly because the only tag this engine had was a handwritten tag that said 2018 Porsche Macan. And there are 2 different 3-liter Macan engines for 2018. There's one in an S and one in the GTS. And my interchange system says they're completely different. So I had to look up every single part number on this engine, and I believe this is the engine out of a Macan S and not the GTS. I don't know what the differences are, but I'm sure some of you that watch this channel work on these things every single day, and you know it off the top of your head. And it would be amazing if you could leave comments with the differences, because while I get a lot of comments, people say that they learn so much from my videos, I learn more from you all. The comments are such a wealth of information. Please put that information in the comments. Well, first things second, let's see how this thing turns over. That was not great. Let's keep going. It's fine, we fixed it. Oh, see, it's got compression. The good news is it turns over enough for us to get it apart, and that's the whole reason for that test. Now we're going to pull the plugs and see what they look like. Oh, that's not a good sign. There's no major damage to any of these spark plugs. There's no malicious damage caused by a rogue piston coming apart, but one of them looks different than the rest. So these 3 and these 2 look okay, but this one, which is cylinder 4, the front on the passenger side, is really wet and has a lot of buildup, like it's been misfiring. I'm not sure quite, I guess it just wants to leave. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I bet we'll find out. Now that the plugs are out of it, let's see if it feels any different. Still got a really, really bad tight spot. I don't hear Uncle Rodney banging around. Let's hope that crankcase is in good shape. The next thing I'd like to do is remove the intake manifold. I can tell you it's been off probably to get the harness off. They probably reused the harness. And there's only a couple bolts holding this thing on, and they're loose. Boy, that was sure easy. So that's weird. You can see one intake valve looks terrible and the other looks halfway okay. And both of those look awful. So much buildup. But again, one's decent, one's okay. Let's go to the left-hand bank. Not great, but not terrible. There's quite a lot of buildup, and that looks like so I don't know what's on the left side there, but it doesn't look good. Maybe some dried coolant. And that one's wet. But I don't see any chunks of metal, so that's a good sign. Next, we're going to remove the left-hand turbocharger. So this is one of the coolant pipes that goes to the turbo. We're going to move that here with the right size socket once we get it. Go ahead and get the hose off. Probably should have taken this off first. It'll be a lot easier. Will you? Oh, I think we're going to leak. Well, there's still some coolant in it. Let's unbolt the turbocharger. I'm just gonna get these fittings out of this. There we are. We are leaking a little bit of oil, but the turbo is off. So there's a distinct difference in the way the exhaust ports look on this engine. That one looks okay, that one looks okay, and that one is sopping wet. So I think whatever problem we're going to find, this cylinder is going to be one of the culprits. Now we can start on the right-hand turbocharger. This comes off, right? Unlike the other side, this side still has this little short down pipe. So we're gonna see if we can get these out easily. Oh, okay. All right, now what? That wasn't too bad. Now the oil feed. Now we should be able to unbolt the turbo from the head. Oh no, I have to remove this coolant pipe first. We can do that. That wasn't too bad. All right, now the turbo should be loose. We still have some fittings to pop out, like this oil return from the lower oil pan. And well, that's already loose. Oh, they've got one coolant fitting over here. I don't know if that's going to be all of it, but we're going to try. That's all we can do. Oh wait, oil feed. We are caught on one of the coolant pipes. What, you thought I was going to cut it? Uh-oh. Turbo falling. We're losing it. So the turbos actually look pretty good. There's no damage to the impeller. There's not a ton of shaft play. But I really don't have a lot of luck selling used turbochargers. The amount of effort it takes to replace these, the labor And the cost of these, while they are probably expensive at the dealers, probably some decent aftermarket options. I don't know that I'll be selling these as good. Not sure. Let's peel off the left-hand valve cover. All right, see if this lifts up. Nope. Thought it might. I was wrong. Aluminum bolts. Looks like the valve cover is broken over here. Would have been a good prying point, but not now, it's not. Let's see what it looks like in here. Oh, it's clean. So it looks pretty good in here. It's very clean. And there's a couple things that struck me right off the beginning. Number one is a dual row timing chain. It's pretty awesome. You don't see that much anymore. It also looks like it has a variable lift on one of two of the intake valves. The other one has a standard, a normal lobe, I would say. And it also has a little bit of moisture in here, but I think that's because it was missing the high pressure fuel pump, and this engine could have been reined in. Outside of that, I don't see anything alarming. Nothing's out of place. Not a ton of wear on the cam lobes. It looks decent. Let's go to the other side. We're going to start by removing the remaining high pressure fuel pump, I think. That's kind of cool. They rotate out. Let's see, is there a good place to pry on this one? It's like they're saying, we never need service, so there's nowhere for you to service it. All right, see what's behind this valve cover? Well, much of the same. Just like the other side. The side looks nice and clean. No visible damage or wear. It all looks pretty nice and tidy. We're going to take a minute here and clear the rear of the engine. Now the vacuum pump. Onto the other side. Everything's falling. Now the coolant crossover. Oh, we're leaking for sure. We have to get this coolant pipe off. Let's see if we can do that from here. Nope. Yep. Oh no. I have rounded it off. That was a T30. It is no longer a T30. But I have vice grips for this task. Yeah. Oh, still no? Okay. All right, so I did want to look at this connection here, because it sure looks like we got some hard crusties there. But I think this was thrown onto this by the belt system. Blue, I need you. Oh man, that is really not wanting to give up. I have all the bolts out. Although it doesn't feel like I do. Oh, there's an O-ring to the water pump. That's probably why. Ah, we have movement. Although I think we're going to get caught up on this fuel rail. I'm sure this is fun in the car. I don't know why you need to do this though. We're just taking the whole thing apart. Oh, we're leaking. Well, that's weird. Is that part of the water pump? Does that spin? No. I don't really know what, some kind of thermostat maybe? I bet you that's what that is. Again, this is the first time I'm taking one of these apart, so I don't know everything. There's a spring in there. It's definitely a thermostat. All right, now we're going to get the starter out. At least we're going to try to. Don't really like the way that fits. It doesn't either. So I had to persuade it a little bit. And I might still be in a situation here where I have to do something I'm not entirely proud of. And it worked. That's it. That's all we had to do, is get it to work. Is that it? That's it. Starter is loose. So the timing cover has the chain tensioner built into it. So if I remove the cover, I don't want to turn the engine over, which is why we're going to turn it over now. We're going to see how it feels, how it looks. There's still a tight spot in here. It's not quite as bad. Oop, feels all right now. All right, we're gonna start clearing the front cover. Start with some of these pulleys. There. It is now time to remove the water pump pulley. Let's see what kind of mess lies behind this. All right. It's stuck. Oh, it's crunchy too. It's got coolant chips in it. Wow. Oh, she's a leaker. Look at the amount of dried up coolant. It was caked on here. It's keeping the pulley from coming off. So what happens is, if the water pump leaks, the water pump is spinning because of the belt drive, and the belt is flinging it everywhere, which is why we see it on the bottom of the timing cover, or bottom of this part of the timing cover. Is why we saw it everywhere around the belt system, and I bet it was flinging it everywhere. And it looks like it wasn't just a slow leak. It also wasn't something that just happened. This is a lot of leakage for a lot of time. All right, let's get this crank pulley bolt loose. It's moving back and forth, but it's not enough to break it free. All right, we're gonna let my compressor charge up. All right, compressor batteries are charged. Got the big impact. All right.
So you want to be difficult.
It's getting there. I bet this is a Loctited bolt. Let's give it a go here. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's hot, 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 hot. I gotta put this somewhere where it can be hot. See what it takes to get this unit off. Oh, that was too easy. Now we can remove the chain tensioner. It's a nice anodized blue. That's a cool looking piece. Now we can remove the water pump. I do want to be careful with this. You know, I don't want to hurt it. Whoa, whoa, whoa there. So it spins okay. So you could say this water pump is no good. It's clearly been leaking out of the weep hole, which is right here, for quite some time, but the inside looks nice. There's no tellable bearing feeling. It feels all right. It spins nice. If you clean this up, you could sell this as a good water pump. But we don't do that here. I feel like this bracket's going to be in the way, so we're just going to go ahead and remove it. Is that it? Are there more? I think that's it, right? Blue, help me out here. Oh yeah, that's it. How much more room there is. Time to remove the timing cover. Oh no, that one broke off. Probably from all the corrosion. These are also aluminum bolts. I'm going to have to get those with a different type of tool that I can get straight on them. Nope, that's not going to work. Whoa, Nelly. I'm going to skip that one for the moment. You got to clean these out with a pick. All right, I'm not sure if the 4 around the crank steel need to come out, so I'm just going to get them out of the way. Yes, they definitely have to come out. Oh, that one's unhappy. Oh, I'm going to find my better socket here. This is either going to do it or it won't. It won't. Neat! All right, that one's loose. Success. I don't even know if those had to come out. I don't think those had to come out. All that for nothing. Now it is time to remove the timing cover, which looks aluminum. It is not aluminum. This is still very bolted down because there's a bolt right here. You don't have to get all the bolts out, but it helps. As I was saying, this is not aluminum. It is magnesium. Trying to be careful with it. We are so close. It looks like I have to take this sensor off. We can do that. We have the capability. Did that help us? Oh yeah. Oh, it practically falls off. So look at the inside of this. Not aluminum. It's also incredibly light. Here's the timing system. It's really simple. Huge overbuilt chain, large, very large guides. I'm sure that they will have problems if they haven't started already because it's a European engine and nobody can seem to copy the 90s Toyota chain guides. But, ooh, that's violent. I don't see any issues here. This all looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and get this stripped down. That rail just slides right off. Will this one do the same? Oh yeah. And then we have, nope, the big U guide. And there's a guide like this on the BMW M60s and M62s that just falls apart, but it's not in this location. It's down, it's lower. It's kind of in this location. All right, and now, oh man, you guys thought I liked the chains before. There is no greater chain. I mean, would you look at it? That is the chain of chains. Not many manufacturers using dual row chains. Normally, I point out a bunch of flaws because it's a European timing chain guide. Oh, it's broken. It's flawed. It's not good. See? All they had to do was make the guides out of the same material that Toyota used in the 90s. It never, hardly ever failed. They couldn't do that for reasons unbeknownst to me. Now, sometimes you can point at the fact that oil change intervals have been extended. This engine doesn't reek of extended oil change intervals. So maybe fuel dilution. If you have fuel dilution, it can attack the plastics and it can degrade these faster, but this guide has failed. And that is not good and probably not the reason this engine's here. It is now time to cam the cam cramps loose so we can remove the cranshafts. Oh, need a little help with these. Whoa there. These come out rather violently. That's much easier. Why didn't I think of that sooner? So the journals in the head look pretty good. The valve train looks good. You can see the difference in lifters for the variable lift. There's what they look like. We'll set that back in there nice and gentle like. But I don't see any glaring issues here. This all looks pretty good. I don't see any signs of metal in here. Looks all right. But I did notice that this piece must come off because it blocks access to two of the head bolts. So we'll have to figure out how to get that off. But first, let's look at the cams and cam camps. Cams look really nice. Very sellable units here. I don't see any major wear. The caps, nothing wild as far as wear is concerned. There's a little bit of wear in that middle one here. Let's zoom in and show that. But it's not terrible. Very serviceable components so long as the rest of the head ends up to be in good shape, which we don't know that yet. I'm not sure if I have to take this out or not, so we're going to try without. Oh, I think it'll come off pretty easily. Look at that. Easy peasy. All right, now we can crack the head bolts loose. All right, let's zip these out. Oh, I guess we're doing that with all of them. Big question, is this going to make a mess or is it just going to come right off? All right, let's yank its head off. Well, let's see what we have here. I don't see any glaring problems here. The head gasket looks okay on this bank. And this was the one that was going to have a wet cylinder, I think, isn't it? Yeah, this front cylinder right here. So what gives there? All right. Well, it looks pretty decent when you don't look at it. But once you look at it, it's less than decent because bore score in 7 years ago, this engine had excellent compression. But now, you know, it's 2018. You see what I did? Now it's got severe bore score. And I don't know what that one looks like. I bet you that front one might be even worse because that's the one that was having issues, at least visible wetness. The cylinder head doesn't look too bad. I don't see any areas that appear to be cracked. Although there's a lot cleaner combustion chamber in this cylinder versus that one and that one. Bunch of buildup, but the center one doesn't have as much buildup, which tells me there could be some coolant intrusion happening with that middle cylinder. It is time for the first round of science. I think we have a perfect score. Moving on to the bank of opposition. Let's cam some cam cramps loose. Oh, might need to give it a little hand. Not with that, with this. That's a Mustang. It's the same story on this side. Very clean. Virtually no damage to the journals or any of the buckets or lifters. There's a little bit more sediment here, collected here in the crevices, but it's not terrible. I just wonder what that material is. And the camshafts look good. There might be a little smidge of wear on the fuel pump lobe, which is this lobe right here. It's not terrible. I don't think it's going to cause any issues. I don't see any major damage to the cam caps. Those look okay. It's pretty much a mirror of the other cylinder head. Time to crack the head bolts loose. All right, let's rip this head off. And what have we here? Well, the head gasket does not appear to have any major issues. None that I can see right now. I'm sure once I look over it on video, I'll be like, oh, I missed a spot. But I think we're okay. So looking at this bank, it looks a lot better. I don't see any major issues here. The bores look good. I can't see the middle one, but we will shortly. And looking at this cylinder head, these are all nice and even. I don't see any signs of coolant in there. Not a lot of carbon buildup, unlike the other bank. Maybe it's something to do with crankcase ventilation as to why those combustion chambers looked the way they did. All right, second round of science. I think we know what the results are going to be, but we're not going to just assume anything. Perfect score. Now I'm going to turn the crank over so we can take a look at the bores that we could not see. Okay then. Well, I have more things to show you. Look at how much scoring there is. It is an incredible amount. And even worse on that side. I guarantee you that's why this engine was replaced. I'm sure this thing still ran, but I bet it missed in the cylinder, had low compression, bad leak down. Man, that's pretty tore up. On the other bank, not bad. The bores are good on this bank. Let's go ahead and get the motor mount removed. That mount is destroyed. And we'll get the bracket out of the way. Now we're going to rotate this over and drain all the juices out. Now, these are supposed to be drained. They rarely are. Not too bad. It's time to remove the oil filter. Well, I would like my filter back. They took it. Unfortunately, whoever condemned this engine has rudely taken the oil filter and not replaced it, but you can see that there's some silvery, glittery stuff down there. And if we go over, you can see the sparkles. It's very finely powdered, pureed, if you will. And now we can remove the lower oil pan. That one will need some clean out. Those two also. And now we can remove the lower oil pan. Ooh, that's not where Antisieze goes. Well, I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but there is a lot of silvery sparkle forbidden glitter in this lower oil pan, especially over here. This, look at that. This is like Antisieze. It's incredible. And it's kind of nerve-wracking too, because the crankshaft, all that stuff's worth money out of this, and if this metal was circulated through the entire oiling system, we are going to see signs of it in places I don't want to see it. And inside the upper pan, more sparkles, and then one big sliver in the pickup screen. Let me see if that comes out of there. Actually, that's sealant. Or maybe a piece of plastic. That's not metal. But overall, if you look at the sheer volume of tubes in this thing, this is ridiculous. I mean, it all makes sense, but These are the scavenge tubes for the turbochargers. There's your pickup. This is from the oil filter. This has an oil pump and a scavenge pump, from what I can tell from this vantage point. So we have a lot of stuff to remove before we can pull this upper oil pan. There is an order of tubes, tube removal. Start with this. Tube 1. Tube 2. Tube 3. Oh no. And at last, tube 4, tubular. Next, I need to remove the oil pump chain cover or guide or whatever. It's a cover. Boop. And next, I'll remove the upper oil pan bolts that are inside the lower pan. I think that's it. And now the rest of the upper pan bolts. These are also aluminum bolts, which generally speaking, one-time use. There's one more T30 right here. And I believe that is all. We should be able to pop this pan. Very nice. Uh-oh, we got some wires in the way. Didn't count on that. This is for the oil pump. Yoink. Boop. I also need to remove this baffle to get the wire through. And I can do one of those numbers. And now we can remove the upper oil pan. So here's what it looks like without the upper pan on. There's your oil pump and scavenge pump. It's got a little balance here, a little counterbalance, and fairly simple. I'm joking. It's pretty complicated for what it does. But is it the failure mode here? I would highly doubt so. So I think we're going to remove it next. We need to remove this rail, that. Let's just start zipping some bolts out till parts fall off. That was much looser than I anticipated. All right, now we can take everything off. Did that help me? Things appear to be loose. I can just hang out there. Nice. Let's unbolt the oil pump. Oh, okay. Either I missed one or I need blue. Before we tear the oil pump apart, let's get this windage tray out of the way. Let's rip this oil pump apart. We'll start at the caboose. It's just a big old weight. Oh, it's gonna be like that. I think that's all of it. It's just... Did I miss anything? Oh yeah. Turns out you gotta get all the bolts out. Oh, we're losing the big shaft out of the back here. Wow, that's a pretty nice piece of machinery. It's nice to not see a vane style pump. It's all pretty well built, looks like. Does this come apart or should this come apart? I think we should take it apart. Look at that, there's a lot of pieces to look at. I'm not going to pull that all the way out of there, I don't think. So I got to fish that little key out of there. I don't think I want to do that. But let's clean it all up and take a look to see what it looks like. Well, there's a lot of pieces here. I'm not sure which is the main pump. I think this is going to be the main pump here. And it looks decent. It's got some interesting looking, I don't know if I'd call that wear. But it's definitely not uniform, which is kind of odd. I don't see any damage anywhere, really. All of this looks really good, which is surprising considering we know that there's some Antisieze in this engine, which is most likely the coating of the bores from bore score and not so much bearing material. But I don't see any damage here. It all looks pretty good. Pretty nice machine work too. Here's what it looks like inside the short block. I don't see anything crazy in here. It's not a ton of carnage like we saw last Saturday, but there's two ways to take this apart, and I'm going to do the rods and pistons first, and then we'll remove this bed plate. First thing I'm going to do is turn this over to a more favorable position to start at the front, which is way cleaner. This engine is a split pin design. Some people like that, some people don't. Almost launched that one. Now it is time to split the bed plate. We're going to start with the Torx that run along here. They look like T45s. Now we're going to graduate to the E12s. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 along the back side. And now we got the big ones. I'm going to start with the outer ones, which are E14s. And we're going to graduate to the larger one, E18. All right, that should be it. When I say that should be it, I believe that to be it. We're going to use old blue here to split it. Go to the other side. I think we are ready to remove it. Something seems unhappy to me. Now we should be able to pluck the crank out. Seal is becoming a problem. This is a ring for the crank sensor. Well, let's start at the rod bearings, and you can all see that the upper shell has a ton of wear. But it is consistent wear. It's not like it's all grooved up. I mean, okay, that one's kind of got a groove in it. And this one's got a groove. It's not terrible is what I'm trying to say. It's not good. They don't look good. They look like a really high mileage set of shells. I mean, the lower looks great, but the upper, where it sees most of the force from combustion, those are pretty worn. Now here are the main shells, and you can see there's some wear on these as well. And this is probably due to the contaminated oil that had some metal suspended in it. I don't think this is to do with lack of oil or any other oiling related failures other than metal in the oil is not supposed to be there. Now the rods and pistons, the moment you guys have been waiting for. Look at the skirt on that. That is shredded. That would be bad on that side, but it ain't that bad. That is terrible. The rings are all free. They're not all clogged up. It's not a ring issue. Yikes. But of course, the opposing bank, perfectly fine. But the one bank, man, look at how deep those grooves are. Screw catching your fingernail, that'll catch your whole finger. Other bank looks nice. Pistons look good, except for the skirts. There's no other damage that I could see. Just that horrendous amount of damage. And it's not just the skirt, it's the ring lands as well. Of course, opposite bank, perfectly fine. Here's a better look at those skirts. Sometimes when I move things in the video, you don't get as good of a look. There's the other really bad one. The crankshaft, though, is very nice. I don't see any damage to any of the journals. It'll need cleaned up, but very serviceable component. All right, now we're going to look at the good set of bores, and they look great. Like really, these look excellent. Little bit of wear there, like right there. Now let's go to the bad side. That is atrocious. But it's not as bad as that. These are absolutely wrecked. What's interesting is like this side looks fine, this side trashed. That is awful, and that is awful, so there's not really a pattern to it. Porsche has been dealing with bore score problems in their alusil and locusil lined engines since the late 90s. Pretty much since they started lining their sleeves with alusil or locusil, there has been the risk of developing bore score. And here we are some 20-some odd years later dealing with the exact same type of failure on a completely different engine configuration. Now, I used to think that bore score was something that was relegated strictly to the flat six engines in the Boxster, the 911, and the Cayman, but no, that affects all Porsche engines. Yes, the Cayenne, the Panamera, and the Macan. Now that does exclude diesels and the Porsches that actually have Volkswagen engines in them. However, a lot of people seem to think that bore score is one of those things that develops in cold climates, specifically on the flat six engines, and on warm climate engines that are driven frequently and not a lot of short trips, they don't have that issue. And I think there's some merit to that. But in the case of this Macan, I think this engine had some help. I really think that there was another factor at play, and that was very evident from the minute we saw this engine with all of the dried up coolant down the front of it. When an engine overheats, when it gets hot, several things can happen. Yes, you can breach a head gasket, you can crack a cylinder head, you can also make the pistons swell. And if there is such a small gap between the skirt of the piston and the cylinder wall and the piston swells, well, you get the kind of damage we see here. And it would make a little bit of sense as well that it didn't affect the entire engine, because a V6 or any V configuration engine can locally overheat. It doesn't mean the whole engine got hot. There could have been coolant on this side of the engine and none in this side, which allowed the pistons to get hotter and swell and cause the damage we see here. What do you guys think? Now, I will tell you something else as well. When you are buying a used engine for your Macan, your Panamera, your Cayenne, your Boxer, your Cayman, your 911, whatever, if you buy one, you should demand pictures from a bore scope. Every single cylinder, it all matters. Just because a compression tests good, it means nothing. Compression means nothing on these engines. Leak down will tell you a lot, but if it's just starting, leak down won't tell you anything, but the pictures will tell you. What's the saying? Pictures are worth 10 words? No, thousands of words. Yes, so it can save you thousands of dollars as well by buying a huge boat anchor. The amount of labor it takes to replace any of these engines, none of them are easy, let alone resealing it, the timing job. It's 20 some odd hours to retime these engines. Make sure what you're buying is better than what you're pulling out. That's all I have to say. Also, if you smell coolant in any of your vehicles, it doesn't have to be a Porsche, don't just keep driving it, make sure it stays full, and then get that leak fixed. So this engine, I hope, is a very fruitful one. I will say the bores are ruined. I don't know if the block is going to have any value, but 3 of the rods and pistons, the crankshaft, the oil pan, all that stuff is pretty good. I got turbocharger cores to sell, one valve cover. This should be a pretty fruitful core, and I didn't have to pay a ton of money for it. So if you'd like to buy any parts out of this engine or any of the other engines I've torn down, you can leave our email in the video description. You can also go to Importapart.com and peruse our inventory. I've been uploading our parts cards. I do have a couple Boxsters on the way in and a 911 Turbo that we just inventoried. I really hope you enjoyed this teardown. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.